I'm not really sure what we're going to be doing today. I've got to start cleaning up the studio a little bit. I've been moving things around. Every so often I can be very complacent about my work situation. Far too complacent. I go in between studio cleanups far too long, and I'll live with a setup that's not quite ideal for many decades. Think, move it around. So I try to do it a little bit more often than comes naturally. So I'm moving things around. But I like this place to paint. This is my latest painting. This is basically, I consciously decided that I'm Douglas Truth, and this show is called Everything I Know. But that aside, I consciously decided that I wanted to copy one of my favorite paintings very closely, not brushstroke by brushstroke by any means, but the same point of view. Say the camera is in the same location and it's taking the same shot, and it's about this. It's not about the stage manager, but the stage manager is a missing presence. So we're behind. We're on stage looking out toward the audience, and there's also a light at the end here that indicates that it's a movie theater as well. And I guess the inference is that this projection is, so we're standing on stage and we're the ones being projected for an audience that doesn't exist. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me either. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it because I keep painting it over and over. Stage manager, the stairway upstairs, obvious inference. Now there's the big dog sleeping, but in the guardian pose, and here's the female presence, the feminine presence on stage with the kind of Mayan dance steps. I remember reading. I'll have to get her name and put it on screen, but she's the famous Mayan ethnographer and anthropologist. Started out as an art person, so she had a couple of things going for her in anthropology that most anthropologists don't. Archaeologists mixed in there. When she was a woman and she had an artistic background. Now, that some people might say that's not much, but how you see in other cultures is totally dependent on the culture that you're seeing it from. And most of the Western anthropologists, ethnographers, archaeologists had no idea that they're bringing a white male heterosexual point of view to the study of the culture that they were studying, because that's what they thought was reality. That's the water they swam in. So this woman, and I'll put her name on the screen. She was at a festival, at a fair in a village in Guatemala, something like that, and she saw a bunch of stuff that's in use right now that she just went bing. She saw it all of a sudden, how some of these contemporary practices were just isomorphic with these carvings that she had been studying for so long. So there's a particular posture with the raised foot, like right here, that they couldn't figure out what that posture was, and she saw it as a dance move, like a ritual dance move. So that's what these sculptures, the friezes, are depicting sometimes, are these ritual dances and the moves within. What that's apropos to, relevant to, I don't know, except that I'm quite inspired by that culture. I don't think they're perfect by any means. I mean, they were all too imperfect and warlike, self-destructive. I mean, if you ever read Jared Diamond's Collapse, the Mayan culture is one of the ones that he examines as one of the totally non-adaptive ones, and they're the things that brought that culture down, civilization down, sound eerily familiar. Environmental degradation, overpopulation, constant warfare. It's like I'm checking my watch, because we're doing all those things in spades, not just limited to one. I wish that little dog would be quiet. It's very irritating to hear that on tape. But they couldn't adapt, and we don't seem to be adapting either, which is, I don't know, it depends on your point of view or the time of day, whether that sounds like a good idea or a bad idea. Sometimes it's like I just want to throw my hands up and say, failed experiment, back to the drawing board. But and then the other hand, I think, well, maybe I'm giving up too soon, which is something I've often been guilty of, actually, because that's I've noticed that in groups, I've been involved in some groups and board of directors and stuff like that, and it often seems like what my position is to throw cold water on other people's ideas, because they, it's like, oh, that's not gonna, and that's I consider that to be a very valuable and important point of view in the group mind. The naysayer will prove it and make it work. That's not going to, it's kind of a filter for, it's not exactly like Robert Anton Wilson's dichotomy of Homo neophilus and Homo neophobus and Homo neophilus. Like one way of dividing humanity is those that are attracted to the new, and those that aren't. Well, I would say I'm a big mix, because I'm really attracted to the new, but I'm extremely skeptical. And things you gotta prove it to me. You just can't have some wild idea without any knowledge of the environment that you're going to take this idea to. So I'm going to try to finish this painting today. I'm having fun with the brushwork. I've never done that before. Usually it's just like, boom, one take, paints down, move on. Now I'm doing more blending to get more blending. But I like it. I spend a lot more time in each canvas now, too. So it's been a big week for me. Not Lake Wobegon. I've never been there, but I am from the Midwest, and I get that understated humor. But it's been a busy week because I haven't been cogitating so much. It's like the temperature's been hot. My head, my brain, computer is kind of getting overheated. But it wasn't cogitating. It was like moving toward clarity, which can sometimes be disturbing and painful. Sometimes those things that are clouding your vision are protecting something. Your ego, I guess, but most natural suspect in that regard. So this clarity came from the idea that I have to do a show. That's my muse won't let me. I've tried to push this off, come up with alternatives. I go back, with a new proposition, a new presentation, and she goes, no, you've got to get back on stage. And so I guess I've got to get back on stage. The YouTube thing is helping develop my skills, for one thing, but it's not enough, apparently. I feel inadequate. So anyway, I'm going to come up with a new show. Not Death as a Salesman, but kind of like the upgrade to Death as a Salesman, where it's Dorothy. Used to be my sister, but isn't anymore. Which proposition I both find reassuring and terrifying. Something like that. Some mix of emotions always associated with her in my mind and heart. But so it's going to be Dorothy talking about her job. Start out as being with death, and then she becomes death. She replaces death. He gets kicked not so much upstairs, but sideways over into the other side, where he's opened up. It's kind of a new partnership between Todd and Dorothy, also known as Dot. And so she's on this side, working with so-called living, trying to prepare them for the transition to the other side, where the so-called dead reside. And we've all been there and here multiple times. It's just that we're not very good at putting the whole picture together and making better use of it, and doing our jobs better. I mean, I probably mentioned this many times before with the Mayan cosmology of multiple creations. They don't know what number creation we're on right now, but the idea is that the creators have made multiple creations, and that they're getting better each time. They don't know what they're doing, and so we, as the result of our creators, or the product of our creators, I feel a kind of an obligation to do my very, very best, even though, like I said before, sometimes I just want to throw up my hands and say, enough. About whether, I might be talking about my own life or humanity in general, but I don't think that's the right answer. Honestly, I just don't. I think my reaction there is one of laziness and fear, and then I've got to get past it, do my level best, and And a part of that is going to be doing this new show, and it's very frightening. Dorothy, she's going to have to do her own YouTube channel, and the whole thing just scares me to death, so to speak. But in the same sense, I'm very excited by it. I mean, with great risk can come great rewards. I've seen the other side of that. With great risk comes great falling on your face failure. But so what? So what? You try, you fail. You try, you fail. Try, you fail. Try, you fail. Try, you fail. You fail. You fail. You fail. It's like not anything to be ashamed of. You just keep trying. Keep trying. No, I don't know what we accomplished today, but I think that's about it. I mean, that is about all I know right now. I am Doug Truth, and I am out, and this has been the show we call Everything I Know. I do wish you well.
Nothing but love in view. Then if you fall